it is always the diversity and inclusion brigade who is pushing down the one-size-fits-all narrative, don't they? How ironic. How ironic. This is the conversation I was having yesterday and on Friday as well, that not everybody wants the same kind of workplace. And we're gonna have to come to terms with that fact, because what's coming out from the mainstream narrative that everybody wants flexibility, everybody wants to go home at 4 p.m., everybody wants to have these wellness, well-being, mental health, programs at work. And the ideal company is relaxed, it prioritizes flexible work, mental health, and the endless perks and all that. But that is just not true. So let's talk about that. Hi, I'm Sylvia, an organizational psychologist, and I talk about anything and everything related to HR and people. And I try to make sense of the corporate world. And I hope if you come on this journey with me, that I can help you to think differently about the world of work, whether you are an employee in HR or a leader or manager, because there's a lot to think about. Now, here's the thing. We don't have the solution. The world is so complex that if you want people, and this is what I noticed in most people, they want this solution. And this is what the Woke Brigade is all about. This is the one-size-fits-all solution for everyone. Now that just doesn't happen. It's the solution, what works for you is unique, and you're gonna have to figure that out for yourself. So let me give you a different perspective about this, because I'm kind of fed up with this narrative that everybody, every workplace, industry, the job market must adapt to the employees. Now, I'm not saying that change is not required. That's not what I'm saying. So on Friday, we had this conversation with two other senior HR people and a very experienced consultant from one of the big 5 or 4. And so he's consulting in banking and finance. And obviously that's the industry that is high pressure, high risk, high stake, high hours, working hours, stress, mental health issues and all that. But the payout is massive. So these guys don't actually mind putting the hours and the effort in there because they know they want the money. And this is where we ended up in this conversation, that maybe not all of them, and some of them gets ruined, which is 100%. I will not debate it. We have cases for that. But they don't go around and ask the industry to change. They know what they get themselves into. And this is the conversation I would like to really have today with you guys, and tell me what you think. So the world, we need to really stop this expectation and this social narrative that workplaces should look the same. They shouldn't. They shouldn't, because people have different needs. And I imagine a workforce, and I think that's reality, that there are companies that are very laid back. You can go home at 4 o'clock. There is no stress. These are well-established, probably companies, legacy companies, very old school mindset as well. They are not changing too much. They're quite boring if you ask me, but they give you this steady, stable environment where you don't need to stress too much. And you just go with the system. You just run with the program and that's it. There is no risk taken. There is no high risk, high gain, situation. And maybe the leadership is fantastic. It's a low stressful environment, but with maybe the salaries are not so great either. So it matches the stress level always matches the salary in either situation. Then you have the medium ones, right? That you have a little bit of more pressure, maybe the company is not so stable in terms of a lot of change or medium size changes, maybe midterm changes, and not so frequent ones, that's what I mean. And, maybe it requires a little bit of overtime from time to time, and so on and so on. And then you have the other extremes. So these are the either extremes. I don't see myself in either extreme. I don't like it too much. I don't like extremes at all. I like the middle ground in everything, in most things probably in life. I always say, and I never get political, but I always listen to both parties, left, right, whatever, I don't even understand them. But I always say we don't have left and right to be extremes. We have both parties, so we all can stay in the middle. So we need everybody, right? And so then you have these extreme companies, finance, high stress companies, law firms. These guys, these partners earn loads of money, but this amount of money is not given for free. It's not given just because you can go home at 4 p.m. in the afternoon or 6 p.m. and nobody will ever call you after work, right? And so there are consequences of each of these, and you need to decide where you see yourself thrive and where you see yourself happy and balanced and what you want in life. Now, some people are extremely busy outside of work, so they don't want this extra stress that the mid or especially the extreme would give them. So they go for the low-key, low-stress environment. Girl, I'm just here to do my job. Leave me alone. I have enough outside of work. Some people can take on more, so they maybe opt for the medium or the high-stress environment. And it reflects on their compensation as well. So I think we need to come to terms with the idea that this is real world, and instead of expecting industries and companies to change to our needs and expectations, we need to find the place that is suitable for us. And it also depends on the stage, which stage at your life you are at, right? When you are young, maybe you are a little bit more free than, if you have 3-4 kids, family, all that. So maybe you can take on more stress and responsibilities. This is maybe the time where you have the energy to put in the hours, make money, start building your life, the foundation. And then later on, you don't need to work that hard. And you can decide, you know what, I did that, thank you very much. Now I'm going to go and move on to somewhere else that is less demanding. So the lesson is here that not everybody wants the same workplace, and the job market or companies are not going to adjust and shape themselves to your needs and expectations. I spent 19 years in the hospitality industry. It's not an easy industry in terms of the hours. They could constantly call you outside of working hours. I never complained about it because I knew that comes with the job. Now, I could go on, and we had these conversations for over a decade probably, that the industry must change. The industry will not change. That's the nature of the job. And I don't think it can be changed. I mean, of course, everything can be changed, right? But even during this conversation on Friday with this consultant, we agreed that companies are not going to change their approach, because if they start adjusting working hours, workload, pressure, and all that kind of things that comes with the job in these law firms and finance and banking, they're not going to make as much profit. Now we can argue that profit is not everything. I agree. For you, for him, for her. But for those companies and the people who are working for these companies, maybe profit is everything, because money comes out at the end for everyone. And at the end of the year, they start celebrating that, hey, all that hard work. And they are the ones earning millions, not us who are not willing to put up with the stress. Not us who, not me, but not those of us who are who run away at the first hurdle, start crying, oh my God, my manager is giving me stress, and my mental health is more important than anything else. I respect that. I respect everybody, literally. Like, this is what you want, go and do that. But you cannot ask companies to change for you. Now, once again, I'm saying that it doesn't mean that companies don't have to change. There is plenty of room for change, but they are not going to change fundamentally, just like I realized that the hotel industry is not going to change fundamentally. And I did not stay and start complaining and crying that, hey, you guys, you have to change and drive change and I'm going to be the force of change. No, this is the industry. And if I don't want to do it anymore, that's my choice. And I'm going to go and do something else. But I'm not going to stay there, ruin myself, because now I'm in an environment. I am putting myself in an environment, or keeping myself, in this case, in an environment that is no longer suitable for me. It was suitable for 19 years, maybe 15. And the past 4 years, I was like, I need to leave, but I was so comfortable with the company and I love the company so much. I even love the industry, but I knew my career within that industry is coming to an end. I don't take rush decisions. When I decide something, it takes years sometimes to make a decision, especially when it comes to, that, my career and all that. But so I wasn't making rush decisions. I probably took 3-4 years to make that step, but I did it. But I knew even during the last few years that, hey, it's not for me. But I never complained. I never cried. I never expected the company to change or the industry to change. I did the very best to work until the very last minute. And I'm proud of that. Because I love the industry and I loved everything they gave me. But I didn't go around and bitch about. Not that I can bitch about the hotel industry because we have plenty to change. But there's no point. There is no point. Literally, there's no point. We can have healthy debates and discussions, how we could improve things, but that's a different way. Can we do those changes? If I cannot, then I'm not even going to go into that conversation. I just acknowledge it's just like a relationship, You can nag and moan to your partner that he or she could be a better wife, partner, whatever. But if the person doesn't want, what's the point? You just have to make the decision that I'm staying or I'm going. And that's it. Because at the end of the day, this is your career, this is your life, and everything is your responsibility. It's not other people's responsibility to make the world suitable for you. And that's the message, really. That's the message. And the message is that stop adopting someone else's narrative, because I see that a lot as well, especially with younger generation. They buy into these social narratives, and I hate it when people don't have their own mind. I was 16 years old when I stood up against the whole class when my teacher slapped one of the students, and I don't support violence, like no bloody way, but it happened. And within that context, I think the teacher was right. Now, once again, it's very difficult to say because nobody should slap a kid, right? But within that context, the teacher was right. I told him you shouldn't have done that. But then it came to his disciplinary hearing and we were all interviewed and recorded, and I was the only one standing up for him. And I said, no. He should not be suspended. He should be disciplined. He was suspended and disciplined. He should not be fired. He should be suspended, investigated, disciplined, go through the process. But let's not put his 30 plus years experience, and he was a really good teacher. I loved him. He was very strict. I loved him. But I was the only one out of 20 something of us in the class who stood up for him. And I said that decision would be disproportionate, and I don't see that. I don't agree hitting children, but I understand why he did what he did. And he actually thanked me. He later on, he won his case, he got fired, then he took it to the highest court in Budapest, or whatever, the story. And he eventually won, and got his job back, but he never came back or went back to the school. By the time I finished, I left. But Yeah, because I hate when people don't have their own mind. So even if you stand alone, that, this is coming out from your social media, from your circle of friends, from your schoolmates, that, hey, or your Gen Z, community, that, mental health is everything, don't work too hard, don't do that. You listen to every option, because this is how you make sense of the world. And then you go back to yourself and you ask, okay, what am I willing to do? Is it really suitable for me? Do I want to make money? And I understand if I want to make crazy money, it requires crazy effort, right? And that's the risk to it. So don't fall for someone else's narrative, because that might ruin your life and career. And I have seen that many, many times. So no, we don't need to take the piss out of people who are willing to work really hard. We don't need to go after them, just like sometimes I see crazy comments on Alex Hormoz's, videos and all that, when the guy says, I work whatever hours. And people say, yeah, but I rather have that. That's not true. First of all, you would rather have his money and you would be able to do the hours because you could, but you don't know how to do it, so now you opt for this comment. So, or maybe you are right. Maybe for you, that's the priority. And that is, I respect that as well. But we need to stop attacking others who want to do different things and under the name of diversity and inclusion. Because these are always the diversity and inclusion brigade, who are coming after everyone and want to put everybody in the same box. I don't want a boring old school company where there are no changes and there is no medium to high, mid-high or low-high level stress. Stress is good. I like stress. I like to figure things out. I like to face problems where I say, bloody hell, I have no idea how to solve this. So then I can go and figure it out. That is fantastic. And that sometimes means I'm working here at home during the weekend, and I'm happy with that. But the moment I'm not happy with it, I'm not going to do it. That's it. So find the job, the suitable environment, the environment that is suitable for you, whether it is you want to accept, receive out of work messages, emails, and reply to it, because I hear many times, oh, my boss is sending me an email at 10 p.m. No, I wouldn't reply to it. This is not what I want at this stage of my life. So I'm not even going to put myself in environments that, that would give me this. Because in the hospitality industry, it was 24 hours. I was always ready to be called in case something happens, right? And that's normal. I knew it. So I was always standby. Okay, something can happen and I would have to go in. But I never complained about it. But today, I'm not doing it. And I'm very clear about it, that I'm not doing it. And I know the pros and cons of that decision. And that's it. So this is what grown-ups do. They don't fall for social narratives. They don't fall for one-size-fits approach. They don't fall for nihilism. They understand who they are, what they want, what they're willing to do, what they are willing to sacrifice, what they want to get out of that work transaction, how many hours they are willing to put in, what are their boundaries, and then they put themselves in a situation that matches that. That's it. There's no more to it. So we're gonna have to start complaining about everybody wants flexible work, perks, and the mental health gurus around, because I personally don't. And the only people who are ruining my mental health is the mental health gurus. Thank you very much. I hope that helps.